Stop bleeding money. Why your trucking company needs a freight researcher, not a dispatcher. Written by Michael Thomas, Logistical Forwarding Solutions and Freight University. Sign up, it's free for life. And now let's talk about why you should never hire a freight dispatcher again. As a trucking company owner, you live by the rhythm of the road. Your trucks are moving, your electronic logging devices are tracking hours, and the miles are piling up. Yet, at the end of the month, a frustrating paradox emerges. Despite all this activity, your profit margins are razor thin, or worse, have vanished entirely. You're working harder than ever, but your business isn't growing. This experience is all too common for small and mid-sized fleets across America, and it points to a critical flaw not in your work ethic, but in your operational model. The hidden profit drain sinking many operations is the very role you trust to keep your business moving, the traditional freight dispatcher. The dispatcher-centric model is a relic of a bygone era in logistics. It prioritizes covering loads over maximizing profitability, a subtle but devastating distinction. This reactive, transactional approach leaves your company vulnerable to low-margin freight, crippling deadhead miles, and costly driver turnover. It's a model that confuses being busy with being profitable, and it's holding your company back. This report introduces a necessary paradigm shift for survival and growth in today's complex freight market. Replacing the operational freight dispatcher with a strategic freight researcher. This is not merely a change in title, it represents a fundamental evolution in how your company acquires freight and manages its assets. A freight researcher functions as your in-house market analyst and business developer, armed with data and a mandate to build a portfolio of profitable, sustainable freight. In the following minutes, we will deconstruct the true cost of the outdated dispatcher model, define the immense strategic value of a freight researcher, and provide a quantifiable roadmap to increasing your revenue by 30% or more. Let's begin with what I call the dispatcher dilemma: paying for activity, not profitability. To understand why the traditional model is failing, we must first understand the role as it is commonly defined. On paper, the truck dispatcher is the logistical heart of a fleet. Their job descriptions are filled with critical operational responsibilities, coordinating and scheduling the transportation of goods, planning routes, communicating with drivers and customers, and handling an immense amount of paperwork. They are the central hub of communication, expected to solve problems as they arise, from vehicle breakdowns to traffic congestion. Their primary function is fundamentally reactive and administrative, focused on the successful execution of a load that has, in most cases, already been sourced from a public load board or a freight broker. The performance of a dispatcher is typically measured by their ability to keep trucks moving. While essential, this focus on operational execution overlooks the most critical factor for your business's health: the profitability of the freight. The dispatcher's mandate is to solve today's logistical puzzle, not to architect tomorrow's financial success. The problem isn't always the individual, it's the flawed design of the role itself. This operational misalignment creates 5 systemic vulnerabilities that quietly drain profits, frustrate drivers, and expose your company to significant risk. First, revenue hemorrhage from low-quality freight. Dispatchers are heavily reliant on public load boards, hyper-competitive battlegrounds that drive rates down. Furthermore, dispatchers paid on commission are incentivized to book any load as quickly as possible, rather than the right load that maximizes your profit per mile. Second, operational chaos and wasted capital. A dispatcher focused on simply covering a truck will often send a driver chasing a low-rate load into a dead zone with no freight for the return trip. This practice burns expensive fuel and racks up hundreds of non-revenue-generating deadhead miles. Third, the driver exodus. The old industry adage is painfully true. Drivers don't leave companies, they leave dispatchers. Poor communication, disrespect for a driver's time, and dishonesty about load details create a toxic work environment that leads directly to high driver turnover and its associated costs. Fourth, reputational and relationship damage. In logistics, reputation is currency. A dispatcher who misses check-in calls or fails to provide timely updates can quickly burn bridges with high-value brokers and shippers, cutting off access to premium freight opportunities permanently. And fifth, crippling legal and financial risks. Untrained dispatchers are prime targets for freight fraud and double brokering scams. Engaging an unlicensed independent dispatcher can even put you on the wrong side of the FMCSA, facing penalties that include the revocation of your operating authority. The antidote to this dilemma is not a better dispatcher. It is a fundamentally different role. This brings us to the rise of the freight researcher, your new strategic growth engine. A freight researcher is a logistics professional who functions as a hybrid market analyst, business developer, and strategist for your fleet. Their primary objective is not to simply manage loads, but to architect a profitable and sustainable freight portfolio. Where a dispatcher is playing checkers, a researcher is playing chess, thinking several moves ahead to secure your company's long-term financial health. Let's compare these two roles directly. A dispatcher's primary goal is to cover open trucks and keep wheels turning. In contrast, a researcher's goal is to maximize revenue per mile and overall fleet profitability. A dispatcher reacts to load boards. A researcher proactively analyzes markets and builds direct shipper relationships. A dispatcher's key metric is loads booked per week. A researcher's is profit per truck per week and customer retention. The dispatcher provides day-to-day operational support. The researcher delivers long-term strategic growth and profit maximization. The freight researcher's value is built upon three core pillars. Pillar 1: data-driven market analysis and forecasting. A researcher doesn't just look for a single load. They analyze the entire market landscape. They use powerful industry tools to monitor load-to-truck ratios, spot versus contract rates, and regional fuel prices. This transforms your quoting process from a guess into a data-backed strategic decision. Pillar 2: strategic direct-to-shipper procurement. This is the key to eliminating the costly middleman. A researcher's primary activity is to build a robust pipeline of direct shipper clients, giving your company access to the estimated $288 billion U.S. contract freight market. They research, qualify, and connect directly with decision-makers to secure stable, long-term freight contracts that insulate your business from the wild swings of the spot market. And Pillar 3: intelligent lane construction and deadhead elimination. A researcher thinks in terms of profitable, repeatable networks. They are architects of connected lanes, regular routes designed to maximize your loaded miles. By securing a primary load from point X to point Y, and simultaneously securing a dedicated backhaul from point Y back to point X, they create a closed, profitable loop that can drastically reduce or even eliminate costly deadhead miles. Now let's examine the financial case. How a researcher unlocks 30% more revenue and 10 times the value. First, let's quantify the cost of the old way. The average marginal cost to operate a truck is about $2.27 per mile. Broker commissions typically siphon off 15% to 25% of a load's gross revenue. And the most insidious cost, the deadhead drain, accounts for nearly 17% of total miles for small fleets. For a single truck running 100,000 miles a year, that's over $37,000 in direct operational expenses that generate zero revenue. Let's model the financial difference for a hypothetical 5-truck fleet. In scenario A, the dispatcher model, which focuses on broker and spot freight, the gross annual revenue is $1,250,000. In scenario B, the researcher model, focusing on direct contracts, that revenue rises to $1,325,000, an immediate increase of $75,000. Next, we factor in brokerage fees. In the dispatcher model, these fees amount to a loss of $180,000. In the researcher model, these fees are eliminated, adding that $180,000 back to your bottom line. Now consider the cost of deadhead miles. In the dispatcher model, this costs the fleet over $188,000. The researcher model, through intelligent lane building, slashes that cost to just over $56,000, a savings of more than $132,000. When we calculate the net operating revenue, the difference is staggering. The dispatcher model yields $881,290. The researcher model, however, generates $1,268,500. That is a total annual impact of over $387,000. A 43.9% increase in net operating revenue. The 30% revenue increase claim is not only achievable but potentially conservative. The value of a freight researcher extends far beyond these numbers. They provide financial stability, increase your company's valuation with tangible contract assets, mitigate risk, and build a foundation for scalable growth. So, how can a small or mid-sized fleet implement such a sophisticated function? The answer is you don't have to build it from scratch. This is the LFS advantage, your outsourced freight research department. Logistical Forwarding Solutions is the embodiment of the freight researcher philosophy. We are not another dispatch service. We are the expert strategic team that trucking companies hire to serve as their dedicated off-site freight research and business development department. Our partnership model allows you to focus on what you do best, managing your drivers and equipment, while we handle the complex work of building your profitable freight portfolio. Our services reflect the researcher's three pillars: deep freight research and direct shipper procurement, intelligent lane and back office management, and proactive operational monitoring. Our credibility is backed by 2 decades of proven success and our educational platform, Freight University, where we teach the very principles we practice. The choice before you is clear. The outdated reactive dispatcher model is a liability in today's data-driven world. The future of profitable trucking belongs to those who adopt a strategic approach to freight acquisition. The cost of inaction is measured in the money you bleed to broker commissions, the fuel you burn on deadhead miles, and the talented drivers you lose to frustration. The gain from making a strategic change is measured in higher revenue, stable contracts, predictable cash flow, and a foundation for real, sustainable growth. Your fleet is a collection of powerful, revenue-generating assets. Do not let an obsolete operational model hold it back any longer. Contact Logistical Forwarding Solutions today for a free consultation. Let's analyze your current operations and build a roadmap to unlock the 30% or more in revenue you are currently leaving on the table. It's time to partner with a true freight research team and drive your business forward.